you get shot with friendly fire. Whoops, it was me. I'm not very good with this gun.
So you shoot me and I go down, I'm like, oh my God.
And I say, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Do you forgive me now?
I say, Dave, come here. Come here, and you lean in.
I lean in.
Bang.
All right, that's the answer.
And I cover your body. And I call for help. And they were like, where's Koechner? I'm like, I don't know, I didn't see him.
Behind the Brand features the people who are making things happen. Get insights to grow your business from the experts who've done it. Get Behind the Brand. Sponsored by DocuSign, the global standard for e-signature. Get your free trial at DocuSign.com/Behind the Brand.
Hi, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with actor, writer, producer, comedian Dave Koechner. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hello, Brian. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Dave, I always ask my guests, how'd you get this job?
The job of being interviewed?
Yes.
Okay. The job of being an actor, I think that's the one we're going to talk about first, because I have a lot of jobs, the most important being husband and father. My job that sustains all of that, I'm an actor. I started taking classes in Chicago in 1987 when I was 24 years old. And from that, I eventually got jobs that paid being an actor.
What did you start doing first? Did you do the whole kind of theater scene, or were you immediately...
I did a place called the Improv Olympic, I.O., in Chicago. I started taking classes there.
Yep.
And then a few months after I was doing that, I started taking classes at the Second City, which is a world-famous sketch improv theater in Chicago. And so I was taking classes at both places, and eventually, years later, got hired by Second City. And that's the first time I got a real acting job that could sustain me solely, as one thing, not having to supplement it with bartending or waiting or an office job or anything like that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. But you want just one job. You want the one thing you're going to do. Yeah. But it was good preparation for what an actor has to do anyway, because you're always going to have to get another job and another job and another job. So that's how I got that job. From Second City, I became a resident company, a touring company member, then a resident company member, and from there I got my first television acting job on Saturday Night Live in 1995.
Wow. Who were some of your heroes at that time? Like, who did you want to work with, and who did you admire who was kind of a little bit out in front of you?
Oh, peers? Out in front of me, well, I'll say growing up, I was a huge fan of Abbott and Costello. And then later, because I used to watch Saturday afternoon movies, Abbott and Costello with my dad, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Then when I was in my teens, I became a big fan of the original Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
And also Monty Python, and then Marx Brothers as well, getting back to some history. Once you get this, like, oh my God, where'd this anarchic mind come from? You go back to that, and I was always a huge fan of vaudeville. But when I was coming up, when I was at Second City, the people before me were like Richard Kind, and this guy named Jim Fay, who's passed now. And then I was very fortunate when I was in Chicago to have been there during this, I'm not going to say renaissance because that sounds jackass, but I would say unique time that ended up providing our media with innumerable stars.
Good stuff was happening.
Well, yeah, but you don't know that all these people are going to go on to have these amazing careers. I happened to be there when Mike Myers was there. I started with Chris Farley. Tina Fey was there. Adam McKay was there, writer-director of Anchorman. Rachel Dratch. Sorry, they're all going to come to me. You can almost look at this. Steve Carell, Steve Colbert, Amy Poehler. There are so many writers on Conan O'Brien, Andy Richter, but a bunch of writers on Conan O'Brien that you might not know their name, but you probably recognize their face from so many sketches that they've been in. Yeah. Brian McCann,
So they were all there at that time.
All there at the same time.
Yeah, amazing. Let's talk about your role in Anchorman a little bit. So a lot of people are looking forward to the next
Anchorman 2.
Yeah.
The legend continues. Yeah.
It does. Looking forward to it. Tell us about what's going on.
Well, we're in the middle of shooting it right now as we do this interview. And it is the funniest thing I've ever been a part of.
Tell us about the experience. What's it like to be on set with everyone, the whole gang, back again?
I will say this, it was just like we didn't leave the first set.
Yeah.
It really felt like that.
Picked up where you left off.
It really does feel that way. Everyone's doing their thing again. There's more great stuff. Adam McKay, the writer, director, along with Will, is one of the most brilliant minds I've ever met, period, and certainly one of the most brilliant comedy minds I've ever met. And so we will do the scenes, and then he will throw new stuff out and to inspire you or to just simply repeat it, and it's incredible. He's one of these guys that continues to grow. And a buddy of mine, Jerry Collins, had said something about Will Ferrell years ago. He said, "Where's the ceiling on this guy? He just keeps getting better."
Yeah.
And it's the same for Adam McKay.
I heard a story about the first Anchorman. And wasn't that kind of like that? There was that West Side Story scene.
The gang fight, yeah.
Yeah, and it just kept escalating, and you were encouraged to keep it going and just raise the roof on it and continue to go.
Right.
I imagine that the same kind of stuff's going on.
That happens certainly in the scenes. Now, on the fight stuff, that was all meticulously planned because those are stunts. There's no just, hey, whatever you want.
What was your weapon?
It started out as brass knuckles.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face. Of course. And that's it! Now let's do this!
And then it was just punching people and throwing them.
You know, being considered funny is on my bucket list.
Okay.
Can you help me with that?
I think, hold on, it's coming to me. Yes. Why can't I think right now? The best of this interview is just us thinking.
Let's talk about your YouTube channel. So talk about attention and what you're doing with YouTube. So you've got your own YouTube channel. Where can people find it?
My YouTube channel is YouTube.com/David Koechner or Full On Koechner. But I thought, well, that's a great playground. Let's go. And this, I still had not invested much time in looking at a lot of stuff on YouTube, what's working and why. And now we've got companies that are devoted to the metrics and analytics of what's supposed to work.
How many subscribers, how many views,
and how it works and how you drive them. And then I only recently found out, a lot of people buy their views up. Like, oh, wait a minute.
Some people do, I guess. If you're a presidential candidate who's not doing very well, or if you can game the system, I guess.
You can game the system. But there are so many ways, points of entry, and so many different theories and ideas of how it works.
Yeah.
And then you'll see some things that are wildly popular. And me personally, I look at it and I think, are you kidding me? This is what people want?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me because I just want to do what I want to do, and you hope that it works. Then you start thinking like, okay, what's going to work? I think I look at YouTube like this. I was giving it some thought. The way we're digesting it is generally on your computer, so it's a one-on-one relationship.
Yep, it's personal.
It's very personal. It's different than the way you take it on television, and I think in probably 3 or 4 or 5 years, when you're digesting it mainly on television, it's going to change the way it's presented. Right now, it's about the presentation. It's straight to camera, as that's what's generally the way people seem to respond to it the best. T-Bones TV! We've got upskirts. We've got security cam footage, core work, the champion of liberty! And welcome to another edition of T-Bones TV. T-Bones TV. We're going to do our April Fool. Sometimes we play a little ding-dong ditch. Sometimes I like to call my buddy Teddy. Hey, Ted, it's T-Bones. Hey, listen, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. Yeah, I heard she passed. Oh, you didn't know. He's crying. Hey, Teddy. Teddy. He's crying pretty hard. Teddy, check your calendar. It's April Fool. I'll call him tomorrow.
Is this kind of like, is YouTube for you right now like the new open mic night?
Kind of, yes. I like that. I do have 5 kids, so I can't just go out all the time. And this is a way for me to dip my toe in that medium and have a presence. I don't know how much I can keep tending to it. I want to. Initially, I know I overproduced most of the stuff I'd done. And then I realized, like, oh, you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to overproduce it. You don't have to overwrite it. You just had to do one thing well,
Yeah.
and then see how that sells.
So is it you just with a tripod and a camera, or you got someone working the camera for you? Or?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple guys that I work with, and young, hungry guys.
Yeah.
And they have their own tiny little production company.
Yeah.
And so we engaged and we collaborate, and I get to hire. The best part is I get to hire some buddies to help write that I've known forever.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's the best part of it, is that I get to have this little mini this little collaboration.
It's like a laboratory.
It is. And I would rather do that year round. I mean, I wouldn't eschew any jobs. And I'm very fortunate that I'm usually employed. But I don't even want to say as a side project, but if I could do something like this year round, work with my buddies, self-produce, and we just do our own little things all year long, I would be so happy.
So what's the end goal for you? Are you truly experimenting? Are you like...
I would love to make it a full-time production, a full-time engagement.
Well, if you look at some of these comedians who've been really successful on the internet, probably Louis C.K. is the first, the pioneer. And this is just like this last year, 8 to 12 months ago.
You're talking about the way he delivered his last special.
Yeah, so circumventing the traditional route and just saying, screw it, I'm going to put it online, it's $5, download the thing, and let's see what happens.
Right.
Paying for his own production, essentially picking himself. And he was fed up with the system and all the status quo, but effectively, he just cut out several different middlemen, right?
Right.
And then others, Jim Gaffigan followed, and Aziz Ansari, and several people are doing that. Even look at today what's happening. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but Zach Braff is just launched his Kickstarter campaign, and within an hour or 4 hours, it's up to $1 million. And
unbelievable.
He wants to make his own film, and so what we're seeing is the power being put back into the hands of the people and the creators.
It's real democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the studios are, I think, getting a little bit scared. The agents are getting a little bit scared.
Oh, right, because if you don't necessarily need them, and we were talking about this before, you can find your own level of engagement. And it is personal, and it's not because this person did that person. You're meeting on the internet a different way.
And you're engaging your fan one-to-one now. Even Twitter helps that.
Yeah.
Are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was late to it. I remember several years before I got on, someone said, you should get a Twitter account. I felt a little bit like it was arrogant to even think that people would care to hear what my trivial thoughts might be.
Yeah.
And I regret it. I wish I had done it. Some days, I'll be honest with you, I feel like, that's a chore. It feels like a dog that's needing attention. Like, come on, really?
You're fishing for compliments or something.
Yeah. But no, if you, it's how you want to view it. If you really view it as, hey, I want to have a level of engagement with the people, why not? Yeah. That's the fun part of it. Just like making someone laugh, it's fun. Yeah. But it's interesting you get feedback too, because people go, that was weird, that was stupid, boo. Hey, man. Yeah. You want it to be a one-way conversation sometimes.
Yeah. So, so YouTube's exploding. It's this chance to do your thing. It's like open mic night. You can come experiment, explore, go lots of different places, and there's no boundaries. Right. There's no limits. Right. There's no bandwidth. There's no time limitation.
Yeah. I also feel it's a safe place to learn. Yeah. And it does. You are fishing in a way, right? Just throw it out, see what happens. Initially, I know that I was a little bit precious with everything, and really, like I said earlier, overthought it. But now I realize, just make it simple, see what connects. Yeah. And when you find what connects, just keep doing that thing. It's interesting because I'm fortunate enough to do a lot of different things, and I do treat some of this as a hobby. Yeah. And you really can't. It's one thing or the other, or you've got to find really the time to devote to all of them a good amount of time. Because I do stand-up as well. I do some improv sometimes. I do just live performances, different venues, film, television, and High Five Kids. So it's interesting. So I just think I'll just keep this fire going a little bit. Yeah. It's like I've got a bunch of different pots on simmer.
But that's fine. I think what's happening is this. Like right now we're talking about as separate verticals. Mm-hmm. I do this and then I do this. And I think what's happening is those verticals, the lines between them are beginning to gray. Mm-hmm. And they're becoming more and more integrated into what we do. When we're able to watch TV or a movie and live tweet a comment and possibly get a live tweet back from the actor, like, oh, thanks for watching that. Thanks for coming to the premiere of Anchorman 2. Right. You're awesome. And what did you think of my cowboy hat? Uh-huh. I mean, you can have that real-time conversation now. Right.
And it's interesting. It drives, like we were talking, you were saying earlier how some people are having scavenger hunts.
Yeah, Tony Hawk.
Yeah, and that drives a different level of engagement.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think it's just, there's so many new possibilities to get engagement. That's a buzzword, but it's about keeping it active. And I think it's a barometer too, like, how well am I doing? And there's a little bit of a social proof aspect of, okay, I have this many subscribers, maybe I'm this popular, but at the same time, it's a whole new frontier, and everyone's starting from scratch.
Right, and you don't know why or how people came to it, or why they do or why they don't. Like you might have an expectation that doesn't, or how do people even find you?
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing.
Well, that's algorithms. That's what Google and Microsoft are doing.
They think they know, but do they?
I think they do.
They do.
And I think Facebook knows pretty well too, right? Because the other thing they're doing is connecting the social graph. So, on Facebook, if you like a page that has chocolate on it or wine or surfing, all that goes into the algorithm, right?
Immediately.
And like,
pop.
Yeah. I mean, it's no coincidence that you're seeing on the side little ads about wine and chocolate and surfing.
You like this, you might like this.
Yeah. It's not too dissimilar to what Amazon does. You bought this movie or you read this book, you might also, a recommending engine. And imagine when all that gets laced together with film and TV and all the media together.
Right.
It becomes this giant, pool of information. I watched some of the videos with that you did in the diner, the restaurant with Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
Those are great ones.
When I see you, I see a warmth and an intelligence that makes me want more.
I feel like there's an insult right on the back end of this.
No.
Keep going.
No, when you see me,
I can always count on a great hat, a minivan, and a hug.
did you want a hug now?
Nope.
You got one earlier, that's enough? Because I'll hug you right now.
We're all set.
What are you afraid of? Is there something?
Those, what we did was, and that was branded stuff, but it wasn't hammered. It was just presented by.
Yeah.
My buddy Jerry Collins works at Dum Dum, which is
Yeah.
Bateman and Arnett's branded company.
Yeah.
And Jerry came up with this idea of just having a conversation over a meal. And it's amazing how disarming it is to sit and have a meal with another person and have a conversation. Then we came up with questions that were nearly philosophical.
Yeah.
Stuff
Give us an
like,
example.
What did your childhood smell like? That's not a gotcha. That's not a real head scratcher. It actually makes you access an emotional memory, which opens up a bunch of different possibilities. And then I can follow that up.
Mine smelled like fresh cut grass, like after you mow the lawn.
Right.
A little bit wet.
And then I could follow and say, did you mow your own lawn?
I did, with one of those hand mowers with the blades,
Right. Yeah, and how'd you feel about that? Were you jealous of other people that did? Now, did you like that? You thought it was unique? Or do you think, like, are you kidding me? We can't have a gas-powered motor?
At that time, I wasn't really paying attention to what the Joneses were doing. I was just doing it, getting it done so I could go off and play pickle, baseball, whatever.
Who did you envy most on your block?
I didn't really, I take that back. That's a lie. I did envy one. I envied Lawrence because he had more Legos than I did.
See, but you would see how we can go somewhere because you had an emotional memory. Then you say, oh, I wasn't thinking about the Joneses, which made you think, oh, what did you think about the Joneses?
Yeah.
Or that we could go, oh, you played baseball. What was your favorite position? Who did you admire? So in that case, that type of interview comedy format's a little bit different, but we would have like 15 or 20 different questions like that. We'd go for a vein, we'd improvise, we'd talk for a while, and then just slice it up.
If I hear a noise or something, I get up out of bed, but
protect those
I
boys.
always sleep in the nude. I used to be worried about that, but I now figure that's my advantage.
Yeah.
Because if I come down the stairs and there's some cat burglar there,
Right. And you're full sail.
he's out. Dave, I'm a sociopath.
So, wow. That's quite a confession.
And I'm undiagnosed manic depressive. There's highs and lows.
it give you a lot of different fun games to be played with that.
Tell me, what's one of the hardest things you've ever done?
One of the hardest things I've ever done probably was working for a farmer in Tipton, Missouri one summer. That was the hardest thing. That was a tough couple weeks.
Physical labor, lifting bales of hay,
Long days.
shoveling cow stuff.
Yeah, but I worked for my father since I was 7, so
Okay.
I've always worked. So I don't consider work necessarily hard. I don't know. I don't think about stuff like this is hard. Math is very hard for me.
So you're dipping a toe into being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about why you're thinking about doing that.
Well, you realize after you've been in Hollywood for a while, some people get it right away. It's always amazing to me how people have a natural intuition, like, here's what I'm going to do, and you build your own business.
You're doing a fashion line.
Yeah. I would love to actually do a fashion line, but I don't think anyone would want to wear it. Development, television development specifically.
Yeah.
And then also film development. And like you were talking about earlier, how there's more access to revenue from like Kickstarter, or just, it's cheaper to shoot film now, or a movie, because it's not film.
Yeah, access to cameras, access to platforms.
And you've got people that want to do it. You can have your own lighting, and it's simple. And especially if you keep your story simple, you can film it in 12. We shot an independent feature for 12 days in Los Angeles last September, and it got picked up in rave reviews at a film festival. And that was a micro budget.
Yeah.
But you can do it.
Give me an idea what you guys spent on that.
I heard
a range.
I heard it was less than $1 million. I'd heard at first that it was $200,000.
Yeah.
And I still am not clear about what the budget was. I was told that some of the crew members weren't even paid. They were just doing it for the experience and the resume.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There were all kinds of. We shot it in 12 days. That's quick.
Yeah.
So you've got to be on it and dialed in. You're not getting a lot of times you'll get rehearsals on camera in a scene. This was like, no, we're going and be ready and let's go. So it's a different level of focus. But entrepreneurial-wise, for me personally, there are different aspects of ways you're like, okay, people will come to you with ideas, and so if you add to that idea, okay, let's work on this together, or you find different partnerships, like, for instance, the one on YouTube, right? And I'm very interested in that. I want to continue doing that, which gives me, and through these guys I met, they had a film idea, and we took it to producer. He said yes, and we're now scripting it. Yeah. And these guys are doing it on spec, all because everybody wants to participate on a level. Like, we all recognize, like, you just got to keep busting rock. Yeah. And something can happen. It's interesting, this producer said, let's get away from no. Whatever happens, let's get away from no. Yeah. Rather than going, okay, yes, but no, let's just keep going yes, which is like improvisation. Yes, and what's next? Just keep it rolling.
Well, very good. We've been spending a little time with actor, comedian, and a future entrepreneur, Dave Koechner. Dave, thanks for being part of the show.
Cool. Sweet. Thank you.
Koechner.
Keck, what the heck? That's how my wife says it.
Because I knew you by face.
Right, as everyone does. But I think you look at the name and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which might be something that's an impediment to my brand.
Yes.
This Behind the Brand episode was brought to you by DocuSign, the global standard for e-signature. Get your free trial at DocuSign.com/behindthebrand.